The universe is not loud. Despite how it is often shown, space is not filled with constant explosions or endless chaos. In reality, most of the universe is quiet. This quiet does not come from emptiness, but from distance. Astronomers know that stars, planets, and galaxies are separated by vast regions where almost nothing exists. These regions are called interstellar and intergalactic space. They are not rare. They are the rule. More than 99% of the universe is space. Between objects, this space allows everything to exist without pressure or urgency. Distance is not a flaw. It is the universe's natural structure. When we look at the night sky, it feels full. But this fullness is an illusion created by perspective. Stars appear close together because we see them projected onto a flat sky. In reality, stars are scattered through 3 dimensions, often separated by trillions of kilometers. Even the nearest star system to our own is so far away that reaching it would take tens of thousands of years. With our fastest technology, light is the fastest thing we know. It moves at a constant speed through space, a speed scientists rely on to measure the universe itself. And yet, even light takes time. When sunlight reaches Earth, it has already traveled. For about 8 minutes, light from nearby stars takes years to arrive. Light from distant galaxies can take millions or even billions of years. Because of this delay, astronomy is also a form of history. When we look into space, we are seeing the past, arriving gently in the present. The universe shares its story slowly. Some stars we see tonight may have already changed or faded away. Their light continues to travel, unaware of what has happened behind it. What appears constant is often already transforming. Stars seem still to us. Night after night, they appear fixed in place. But this stillness is only apparent. In reality, stars are always moving, guided by gravity. Stars orbit the centers of their galaxies, following paths shaped by invisible forces. These movements are slow, often taking hundreds of millions of years to complete. Gravity is the quiet architect of the universe. It does not announce itself or draw attention, but it shapes everything, from planets to galaxies, working patiently over time. Sound, as we experience it, does not travel through space. There is no air to carry it. Events that would be deafening on Earth unfold in silence, beyond our atmosphere. This silence is not emptiness. It is a condition. The universe does not need noise to be active. It continues calmly, whether we are listening or not. Time behaves differently on a cosmic scale. Processes that feel long to us are brief to the universe. Stars burn for billions of years. Galaxies evolve slowly and steadily. Human history occupies only a small moment. In this vast timeline, this does not make it unimportant. It simply places it within a much larger rhythm. There are regions of space where nothing noticeable has changed for longer than life has existed on Earth. No collisions, no dramatic events, just balance. As these ideas unfold, there is no need to follow every detail. You can allow the facts to settle quietly like distant light, passing through awareness. The universe does not demand that we keep up with it. It continues at its own pace, and for now, we can simply continue alongside it, calmly, quietly. Stars are not born suddenly. They begin quietly, inside vast clouds of gas and dust that drift slowly through space. Over long periods of time, gravity pulls this material together. As the cloud contracts, pressure rises, temperature increases. This process can take millions of years. Nothing about it is fast. As gravity continues its work, the center of the cloud becomes denser and hotter. Eventually, the conditions become extreme enough for a new kind of reaction to begin. At this moment, a star does not explode into existence. It simply starts to glow. Light appears gradually, almost unnoticed by the universe around it. Most of the stars visible in the night sky were formed long before Earth existed. They have been shining steadily for millions or even billions of years. A star does not know it is ancient. It does not know it is being observed. It continues its process quietly, burning fuel at a pace set by physics, not by urgency. Inside a star, energy is created through a process called nuclear fusion. In the core, hydrogen atoms are pressed together under enormous pressure. When they combine, they form helium and release energy in the form of light and heat. This same process powers our sun and makes life on Earth possible. Despite the energy they release, most stars are remarkably stable. Gravity pulls inward while energy pushes outward. For long periods of time, these forces remain balanced. This balance allows stars to shine steadily without collapsing or expanding. Stability, not drama, defines most of a star's life. Stars come in many sizes. Some are massive and extremely hot. Others are small and relatively cool. Large stars burn their fuel quickly and live short, intense lives. Smaller stars burn slowly and can shine for trillions of years. In the universe, longevity often belongs to what is quiet and small. The color of a star is not decorative, it is information. Blue stars are extremely hot, burning their fuel at a rapid pace. Red stars are cooler, using their energy slowly. By observing color alone, astronomers can estimate a star's temperature from great distances. Brightness can be misleading. A star may appear bright because it is very large, or simply because it is closer to us. Some stars shine intensely, but are extremely far away. Others appear faint, even though they are relatively nearby. Distance and size together shape how we see the night sky. Light spreads as it travels through space. The farther it moves from its source, the more it thins out. By measuring how much starlight has weakened by the time it reaches Earth, astronomers can estimate how far away a star is. Space itself becomes a quiet measuring tool. Starlight does not arrive unchanged. As it moves through space, it can pass through gas and dust. Some wavelengths are absorbed, while others continue forward. This creates subtle patterns in the light, revealing what elements exist inside the star itself. From light alone, scientists can learn what stars are made of, how hot they are, and how quickly they are moving. A distant point of light can carry detailed information without ever being touched or approached. This information arrives patiently. Light does not hurry. It continues its journey, regardless of who is watching. Every star you see is sending a message from another time, traveling calmly across enormous distances. Light can also reveal how fast a star is moving. As a star travels through space, its light shifts very slightly in color. When it moves toward us, the light compresses. When it moves away, it stretches. This effect is subtle, but it allows astronomers to measure motion across vast distances. This movement is not random. Stars follow paths shaped by gravity, often orbiting the center of their galaxy. Our sun is doing the same, carrying Earth along with it. as it slowly moves through the Milky Way. Even what feels stable is quietly in motion. Over time, a star begins to change. As fuel in its core is slowly used, the balance inside the star shifts. Some stars expand and cool, others contract and heat up. These changes happen gradually over millions of years, without urgency. Every star has a lifespan. Smaller stars fade gently, cooling into quiet remnants. Larger stars return their material back to space, enriching it with new elements. These endings are not destructive. They are part of a longer cycle. The elements around you were formed inside stars. Carbon, oxygen, and iron did not exist at the beginning of time. They were created slowly, deep within stellar cores, and released when stars reached the end of their lives. Because of this, stars are not distant or separate. They are part of a continuous process that connects the universe to everything that exists now. Every atom carries a long history, and every history began quietly inside a star. Stars are rarely alone. Many exist in pairs or small groups, orbiting one another over long periods of time. These systems move slowly, bound together by gravity, following paths that can last for millions of years without disruption. In these systems, stars influence each other. They can exchange material, altering how they age and shine. By observing these interactions, astronomers learn how gravity shapes relationships in space, quietly and persistently. Some stars pulse gently, brightening and dimming in steady rhythms. These changes are predictable. By measuring their timing, scientists can calculate distances across space with surprising accuracy. Regularity becomes a tool for understanding scale. Even when stars appear calm, they are constantly releasing energy. Light, particles, and heat flow outward into space. Over long periods, this energy influences nearby matter, shaping the environments where new stars may one day form. Eventually, the material released by stars mixes back into vast clouds of gas and dust. These clouds drift quietly, carrying the ingredients for future generations of stars. Nothing is wasted. Everything continues forward. In this way, stars participate in cycles much larger than themselves. Birth leads to change. Change leads to renewal. The light we observe is only one moment in a process that moves slowly, without urgency, across the universe. When we look at the night sky, we are not just seeing light. We are seeing time, motion, and long histories unfolding slowly. Each star represents a balance between forces that have existed since the universe was young. Nothing here is accidental. Everything follows quiet rules. As this section comes to a close, there is no need to hold on to every detail. Stars will continue shining, changing, and fading. Whether we watch or not, their light travels patiently. And for now, it can simply remain in the background, calm and steady. Stars do not exist in isolation. They are part of larger patterns that extend far beyond individual systems. Their positions, movements, and life cycles are shaped by structures much larger than themselves, working quietly over immense distances. When many stars move together, they begin to form larger communities. These communities follow shared paths, held together by gravity, drifting slowly through space. Over time, these patterns become more organized, preparing the stage for even larger cosmic structures. As distance increases, individual stars begin to blur into collective light. Details fade, motion slows. What once felt separate becomes part of something broader, something that moves as a whole rather than alone. This gradual shift in scale marks a natural transition. From single stars, attention begins to move outward, toward vast systems, where billions of stars travel together, guided by gravity and time. We will continue there, moving gently forward. When we move beyond individual stars, scale begins to change. Stars do not drift randomly through space. They gather into vast systems, held together by gravity. These systems are called galaxies. Each galaxy contains millions or even billions of stars, moving together slowly as a single structure. A galaxy is not solid or fixed. It is a delicate balance between motion and gravity. Stars within a galaxy orbit a shared center, following paths shaped over billions of years. This motion is calm and steady, not chaotic, even across enormous distances. From far away, a galaxy appears still, but inside, everything is moving. Stars circle gently, gas drifts slowly, dust follows invisible currents. What looks motionless is often movement, spread across vast scales of time. Galaxies come in different shapes. Some form graceful spirals with arms that curve outward. Others appear smooth and round. Some are irregular, without clear structure. These shapes are not decorative. They reflect long histories of motion, interaction, and change. Spiral galaxies rotate slowly. Their arms are not fixed structures, but patterns that move through stars and gas. As material passes through these arms, new stars are often born. The spiral shape marks regions of gentle activity, not sudden disruption. Elliptical galaxies move differently. Their stars follow varied paths, crossing one another in quiet, complex motions. There is no single direction of rotation. Instead, motion is shared, balanced, and evenly distributed across the entire system. Galaxies are not alone in space. They often belong to groups, held together by shared gravity. Within these groups, galaxies drift slowly, responding to one another over immense distances. What seems empty is shaped by quiet forces, acting over long periods of time. Inside a galaxy, motion is not uniform. Stars closer to the center move along faster paths. Stars farther out travel more slowly. This difference reveals how mass is spread throughout the galaxy, including material that cannot be directly seen. Gas and dust move differently than stars. They flow gently through a galaxy, compressing in some regions and thinning in others. Over time, these slow movements create environments where new stars may form, while other areas remain calm and unchanged. Galaxies can influence one another without ever colliding. As they pass nearby, their gravity stretches space, subtly altering their shapes. Long streams of stars may be drawn outward, forming faint bridges that mark past encounters. When galaxies merge, the process is gradual. Stars rarely collide. Instead, their paths slowly adjust to a new gravitational balance. Over billions of years, two systems become one, settling into a stable, shared motion. From a distance, these changes appear calm. Even major transformations unfold quietly on cosmic timescales. Galaxies respond patiently to gravity and time, allowing new structures to emerge without urgency. Galaxies are surrounded by vast halos of unseen matter. This matter does not emit light, yet its gravity is strong. It shapes how galaxies rotate and how stars move within them. Without this hidden mass, galaxies would not remain stable for long periods of time. Because this matter cannot be seen, Its presence is inferred through motion. Stars at the outer edges of galaxies move faster than expected. This steady speed suggests additional mass, spread far beyond visible stars. The universe reveals itself through patterns, not appearances. Galaxies rotate slowly. A single rotation can take hundreds of millions of years. From within, this motion feels imperceptible. From afar, it forms graceful, enduring patterns that persist across cosmic time. Not all galaxies rotate smoothly. Some show subtle disturbances, evidence of past encounters, or gradual shifts in balance. These irregularities are records of history preserved in motion rather than memory. Over time, galaxies evolve. Their shapes change. Their star formation slows or increases. This evolution is not sudden. It unfolds quietly, guided by gravity, environment, and the slow passage of time. From this perspective, motion becomes a form of storytelling. Every curve, every drift, every subtle shift reveals something about the past. Galaxies do not speak, yet their movement carries long histories across the universe. Galaxies do not remain unchanged. Their surroundings influence how they grow and evolve. Those in crowded regions interact more often, while isolated galaxies change more slowly, shaped mainly by their own internal motion. In dense regions of space, galaxies may lose gas to their environment. This loss reduces the formation of new stars. Over time, some galaxies become quieter, dominated by older stars and slower internal processes. Other galaxies retain their gas for much longer. These systems continue, forming new stars gradually, adding light and structure over extended periods of time. Star formation does not stop suddenly. It fades gently, following available material. The motion of galaxies is influenced by large-scale structures. Vast filaments of matter connect galaxy groups across immense distances. Along these filaments, galaxies drift slowly, guided by gravity, toward regions of greater mass. Between these filaments lie enormous voids. These regions contain very few galaxies, yet even emptiness plays a role in shaping motion as matter flows away from low-density regions toward areas where gravity is stronger. Taken together, galaxies trace a vast cosmic pattern. Their positions and movements outline structures far larger than any single system. What seems random up close forms order at scale, revealed only through time and distance. Galaxies also contain vast regions where little light is produced. These regions are not empty. They are filled with thin gas and faint streams of matter moving slowly through space. Even where light is scarce, motion continues quietly. Over long periods, gravity smooths out extremes. Sharp motions soften, dense regions spread. This gradual settling creates balance, allowing galaxies to remain stable for billions of years without collapse or disruption. The centers of many galaxies contain extremely dense regions. Here, motion becomes complex. Stars follow tight paths, responding to strong gravitational forces, packed into small volumes of space. Even so, these motions remain ordered, not chaotic. As distance increases from the center, movement becomes slower and broader. Stars take wider paths, completing orbits. Over immense spans of time, scale changes everything. The same forces remain, but their expression softens. Galaxies remember their past through motion. Subtle asymmetries, faint streams, and uneven distributions all hint at earlier interactions. that unfolded quietly, long before observation was possible. Seen together, these motions form continuity. Nothing moves alone. Nothing moves suddenly. Galaxies drift, adjust, and respond within a universe that values patience over speed and balance over urgency. Some galaxies contain remarkably quiet centers, where motion appears calm and predictable. Others hold regions of intense gravity, where stars follow tightly bound paths around dense concentrations of mass. In these central regions, movement is precise rather than chaotic. Every orbit responds to invisible forces that remain balanced over extremely long periods, allowing the system to remain stable despite the strength of the gravity involved. Despite their enormous size, galaxies are not rigid structures. They are sensitive to their surroundings. A slow encounter with a neighboring galaxy, a gradual loss of gas, or a subtle change in environment can reshape their future. These influences rarely cause sudden disruption. Instead, they guide evolution quietly, altering motion and structure over millions or even billions of years. Over long stretches of time, galaxies tend toward equilibrium. Energy slowly redistributes. Extreme motions soften. Dense regions spread outward. What once appeared uneven becomes smoother and more balanced. As gravity patiently adjusts competing forces, this process does not erase complexity. It preserves it, allowing galaxies to maintain structure without freezing into stillness. From within a galaxy, these changes are almost impossible to notice. Orbits feel steady. Paths repeat with quiet consistency. Only when viewed across vast distances does long-term motion become visible. From this perspective, time itself becomes a tool, revealing transformations that unfold too slowly to be sensed from the inside. Galaxies do not rush toward outcomes. They respond slowly and continuously to the conditions surrounding them. Internal motion, external gravity, and the availability of gas all influence how a galaxy changes over time. Rather than resisting these influences, galaxies absorb them. This gradual adjustment allows complex structures to survive for billions of years, even as individual stars are born, evolve, and fade, one generation at a time. In this way, motion becomes a form of preservation. Small changes prevent instability. Gradual shifts maintain balance. Instead of tearing systems apart, movement redistributes energy and mass, protecting the overall structure. Galaxies endure, not by remaining fixed, but by allowing gravity and time to reshape them gently and repeatedly. Stability emerges from motion itself, quietly sustained across immense spans of time. Over immense periods of time, galaxies slowly exchange energy with their surroundings. Material drifts inward or outward. Motion subtly adjusts, and balance is continuously refined. These changes are not dramatic. They occur quietly, guided by gravity rather than force. Through this steady exchange, galaxies adapt to their environments, maintaining structure, while remaining open to gradual transformation across billions of years. As galaxies evolve, their internal rhythms become established. Star formation may slow, gas may thin, and motion may become smoother. This does not signal an ending. It reflects a shift in activity. Energy continues to circulate, and stars continue to move along familiar paths. What changes is intensity, not existence, as galaxies settle into long-lasting states of quiet continuity. Some galaxies reach periods of relative calm. Starbirth becomes rare, and light grows softer, yet motion never stops. Stars continue orbiting, responding to gravity, with steady precision. Even in these quieter phases, the galaxy remains dynamic, its structure preserved by movement itself. Stillness in the universe is often only the appearance of motion unfolding too slowly to notice. Other galaxies remain active for much longer. They retain gas, form new stars, and maintain complex internal motion. These differences arise from environment, history, and long-term interaction. No two galaxies follow identical paths. Each reflects a unique balance between gravity, motion, and available material, developed patiently over immense spans of cosmic time. Across the universe, galaxies influence one another indirectly. Their combined gravity shapes large-scale patterns, guiding motion across distances too vast to imagine clearly. Individual systems respond to these broader structures, adjusting direction and speed without sudden change. In this way, local motion reflects the presence of a much larger cosmic order. When viewed together, galaxies form vast networks. These networks trace filaments of matter, stretching across space, connecting clusters, and surrounding immense voids. Along these filaments, galaxies drift slowly, drawn toward regions of greater mass. This large-scale motion unfolds quietly, shaping the universe, without urgency or noise. Within these networks, time becomes difficult to measure. Events unfold so gradually that change blends into continuity. A billion years becomes a brief interval. Motion that appears slow becomes essential. Only by observing patterns across enormous distances can the structure of the universe begin to reveal itself, emerging patiently through movement rather than momentary events. From this perspective, galaxies are expressions of balance. They are shaped not by sudden forces, but by ongoing adjustment. Motion redistributes mass. Gravity guides direction. Time allows stability to form. Nothing is fixed, yet nothing is rushed. The universe favors processes that endure, unfolding gently, while maintaining coherence across immense spans of existence. As this section comes to rest, attention can slowly widen. Individual motion gives way to an even larger view, where galaxies themselves become elements within a greater whole. Patterns extend beyond single systems. Movement continues at every scale, and without effort or urgency, the universe carries on, balanced, connected, and quietly in motion, preparing the way for what comes next. Time in the universe does not behave like time in daily human life. There is no clear morning or evening, no shared calendar, and no central moment marking beginning or end. Processes unfold across spans so large that human time loses its meaning. Stars form, shine, and fade over billions of years, while galaxies evolve even more slowly. What feels permanent to us is often only a brief phase within a much longer cosmic rhythm. Because these changes happen so slowly, the universe often appears still and unchanging, yet nothing is truly frozen in place. Every system moves through time, guided by gradual shifts rather than sudden events. Gravity works patiently, energy redistributes quietly, and structures adapt without urgency. On cosmic scales, time is not something that rushes forward, but a wide space in which change slowly accumulates. Cycles are among the most consistent patterns found throughout the universe. Matter gathers, transforms, disperses, and eventually gathers again. Stars form from clouds of gas, release energy for immense periods, and then return their material back to space. That same material may later become part of new stars or planets. Nothing truly disappears. It simply changes form, carried forward by time rather than erased by it. Even galaxies move through cycles shaped by time. Their activity rises and falls depending on the availability of gas and energy. Periods of intense star formation are followed by long eras of quiet stability These shifts are not failures or endings. They are transitions within systems that continue to exist, adapting slowly to changing conditions while maintaining balance across immense spans of time that stretch far beyond any single event. From within these cosmic cycles, change is rarely easy to notice. Motion feels familiar, patterns repeat, and stability appears constant. Beneath this repetition, countless small adjustments continue quietly. Energy redistributes, orbits shift, and matter responds to subtle influences. Only when these processes are viewed across vast distances or immense spans of time does true evolution become visible. The universe is shaped not by single moments, but by the steady accumulation of quiet change. On the largest scales, time is not something the universe moves through. It is something the universe expresses continuously. Every orbit, cycle, and gradual transformation reflects duration rather than speed. There is no urgency built into these processes, no final deadline guiding them. Change arrives inevitably, carried forward by steady forces that operate patiently, unfolding far beyond the limits of human perception and without any need for acceleration. Time also shapes repetition. Many processes in the universe occur again and again, not because they are trapped, but because balance demands renewal. Orbits repeat, cycles return, and patterns reappear with subtle variation. Each repetition carries slight change, guided by prior motion. Over long durations, these gentle differences accumulate, allowing systems to evolve while still preserving familiar structure across vast stretches of cosmic time. Repetition does not imply stagnation. Even when motions seem identical, underlying conditions slowly shift. Energy redistributes, matter responds, and gravity adjusts paths almost imperceptibly. What feels like sameness is often transformation unfolding at a scale too slow to notice directly. Through this quiet repetition, the universe refines itself, maintaining continuity while allowing gradual change to emerge without disruption or sudden instability. Cycles provide reliability. Without them, long-term structure would not persist. Stars depend on stable orbits, galaxies rely on repeated motion, and matter follows paths shaped by earlier cycles. These repeating patterns create predictability within an otherwise vast and complex system. The universe does not seek novelty through chaos, but through slow refinement, using repetition as a tool for stability and endurance across time. Across immense durations, even small cycles leave lasting marks. A slight imbalance, repeated endlessly, can reshape entire systems. Motion amplifies subtle differences when given enough time. What begins as an almost invisible variation may eventually influence structure on a grand scale. Time allows these quiet effects to accumulate, transforming repetition into evolution without ever breaking the calm rhythm of cosmic motion. As these cycles continue, there is no final moment toward which everything moves. The universe does not hurry toward completion. Instead, it maintains balance through repetition, allowing motion to continue without resolution. Time does not demand an ending. It provides space for processes to unfold endlessly, guided by steady laws that favor continuity, patience, and gradual transformation over sudden conclusion. Time also reveals itself through waiting. In the universe, many outcomes require no action, only patience. Clouds of gas may drift for millions of years before collapsing. Galaxies may pass one another countless times before their paths slowly align. Nothing is wasted during these periods of apparent stillness. Waiting is not emptiness. It is a phase where conditions quietly prepare for what will come next. On human scales, waiting feels uncomfortable. We associate it with delay or uncertainty. On cosmic scales, waiting is essential. Without long pauses, structures would not stabilize. Energy would not settle. motion would not organize itself into patterns. Time allows complexity to emerge gently, without force, by giving processes space to unfold fully. Some of the longest-lasting structures in the universe were shaped by extremely slow change. Planetary systems formed over vast spans of time. Galaxies matured through gradual interaction rather than sudden creation. Even the elements themselves required multiple generations of stars. Time does not rush creation. It layers it step by step, allowing stability to grow from repetition rather than speed. Cycles also provide rest. After periods of activity, systems often enter quieter phases. Star formation slows. Energy disperses. Motion becomes more regular. These calmer intervals are not signs of decline. They are moments of balance, where systems recover and prepare, maintaining coherence while conserving energy across immense durations. From a wider perspective, time smooths extremes. Sharp changes soften. Violent beginnings give way to stable motion. What starts as turbulence gradually becomes rhythm. This smoothing effect allows the universe to remain habitable, structured, and predictable over long periods. Without time acting as a buffer, complexity would collapse under its own intensity. In this way, time becomes a silent organizer. It does not command or interfere. It simply allows processes to repeat, adjust, and settle. Through duration alone, disorder becomes pattern. Variation becomes structure. The universe does not need urgency to evolve. It relies on patience, continuity, and the quiet power of extended existence. Time also governs recovery. After moments of activity, the universe allows systems to settle. Energy spreads, motion slows, and balance is restored gradually. This recovery is not passive. It is an active reorganization where excess is released and structure is preserved. Without these long periods of settling, systems would remain unstable, unable to support complexity. Time creates space not only for change, but for rest, allowing continuity to endure across immense durations. In cosmic terms, rest and motion are not opposites. They exist together at all times. Even during calm phases, particles continue to drift, gravity slowly adjusts, and orbits persist without interruption. What changes is not existence, but intensity. This balance allows systems to remain stable without constant activity. The universe does not demand endless motion and maximum energy. Instead, it shifts naturally between activity and quiet, guided by equilibrium rather than urgency. Over very long spans, repetition builds familiarity. Patterns repeat often enough to become reliable, yet never perfectly identical. Each cycle carries memory from the last. Small differences accumulate, influencing future motion. This memory is not stored consciously. It exists within structure itself. Orbits, distributions, and rhythms encode history, allowing the universe to progress while still remaining connected to its past across enormous stretches of time. Time also limits extremes. Forces that act too strongly are softened as energy spreads outward. Sharp concentrations dissolve. Motion redistributes mass until balance returns. This gradual moderation prevents collapse and allows systems to persist. Without time acting as a regulator, intensity would overwhelm structure. Instead, duration transforms force into stability, ensuring that even powerful processes contribute to long-term coherence rather than sudden destruction. On human scales, change often feels sudden and disruptive. On cosmic scales, it is almost always gradual and extended. Events described as dramatic unfold slowly when viewed across millions of years. Time stretches experience, reducing disruption and allowing systems to adapt. What appears to be an ending is usually a transition. The universe rarely abandons structure. Instead, it reshapes existing forms patiently, preserving continuity, allowing evolution to proceed without rupture. Seen this way, time becomes a protective presence. It absorbs shock, spreads influence, and prevents abrupt transformation. Through extended duration, complexity survives. Systems learn not through intention, but through persistence. The universe remains coherent because time allows processes to unfold fully without pressure to conclude. Nothing is forced toward completion. Everything is given space to continue, adjust, and exist within an ever-expanding present. Time also allows forgetting. Not everything that happens leaves a visible trace. Some events dissolve into background motion. Their effects spread so widely that they become indistinguishable from the whole. This forgetting is not loss. It prevents overload, allowing systems to continue without carrying every detail forward. In the universe, endurance depends not only on memory, but on the ability to release what no longer shapes the present. Through time, repetition becomes comfort. Stable orbits, recurring cycles, and familiar rhythms create predictability. This predictability allows complexity to persist. Without it, structures would constantly need to rebuild. The universe favors patterns that can repeat without strain, allowing motion to continue smoothly while still leaving room for subtle variation and slow adaptation. Long durations also soften meaning. Events that seem important in isolation lose sharpness when placed within vast timelines. Beginnings blend into continuations. Endings become transitions. Time does not judge moments by intensity, but by persistence. What lasts, even quietly, becomes part of the universe's structure in a way brief intensity never can. In this extended view, urgency disappears. Processes unfold because conditions allow them to, not because they are driven toward conclusion. Stars burn steadily. Galaxies drift patiently. Motion continues without awareness of outcome. The universe does not aim to finish. It aims to remain coherent, allowing change to occur without pressure or acceleration. Time also equalizes difference. Sharp contrasts fade as energy spreads and motion redistributes matter. Regions that were once extreme become moderate. This equalization prevents instability. By allowing imbalance to soften rather than escalate, time protects structure, ensuring that complexity survives rather than collapses under its own intensity. Seen this way, time becomes supportive rather than limiting. It provides space for motion to settle, for cycles to repeat, and for systems to adjust gradually. Nothing is forced forward. Nothing is held back. Everything is allowed to continue at a pace that preserves balance, guided quietly by laws that favor patience over urgency and continuity over resolution. As time extends, attention naturally widens. Details lose their sharp edges, and broader patterns begin to stand out. What once felt complex becomes simple when seen across long durations. The universe does not hide its structure. It reveals it slowly, allowing understanding to emerge without effort, as repetition and continuity replace immediacy. Long time scales reduce urgency. When processes unfold over millions of years, there is no pressure to resolve quickly. Motion continues whether it is observed or not. Outcomes are not forced. They arrive when conditions align. This absence of urgency allows systems to remain stable, avoiding the stress that rapid change would introduce. Time also smooths perspective. Events that appear isolated begin to connect when viewed within a larger sequence. Cause and effect stretch across generations of stars and galaxies. Nothing exists alone. Each moment is linked to what came before and what will follow, woven together by duration rather than immediacy. Within this continuity, motion becomes predictable without becoming static. Orbits repeat, cycles return. Yet no path is traced in exactly the same way twice. Small variations ensure that change remains possible, even as structure persists. Time allows repetition to coexist with creativity, preserving balance without freezing motion. Extended duration also reduces conflict. Energy has time to spread. Imbalances have space to soften. Instead of escalating, extremes dissolve gradually. This slow moderation prevents instability, allowing complex systems to survive. Time acts as a quiet mediator, ensuring that force becomes structure rather than disruption. Seen across immense spans, the universe appears calm, not because nothing happens, but because everything is given time. Processes unfold fully. Adjustments complete themselves. Nothing is rushed into resolution. This patience is not passive. It is an active condition that allows motion, structure, and continuity to exist together without strain. As time stretches further, meaning begins to soften. Moments lose their sharp edges and blend into longer sequences. What once felt important becomes part of a wider flow. The universe does not preserve significance through intensity, but through duration. Only what continues, even quietly, becomes truly embedded within cosmic structure. Across long timelines, beginnings are rarely clear. Processes fade into existence rather than starting suddenly. A cloud becomes denser, motion grows more organized. Change accumulates without announcing itself. Time allows creation to emerge gradually, without requiring a precise moment of origin. In the same way, endings are seldom absolute. What appears to stop usually transforms. Energy disperses. Matter redistributes. Motion shifts direction rather than disappearing. Time resists finality, favoring continuation over conclusion, allowing systems to persist by changing form instead of vanishing. This resistance to final endings gives the universe resilience. Structures survive because they are allowed to adapt. When conditions change, motion adjusts rather than collapses. Time provides room for correction, ensuring that imbalance does not immediately lead to failure, but instead becomes an opportunity for gradual reorganization. Through this lens, time feels less like a line and more like a field. Events do not move past one another. They coexist within extended duration. Past, present, and future blend into continuity, connected by motion rather than separated by moments, creating a universe that unfolds without urgency or pressure. As awareness widens, individual moments matter less than the patterns they form. Time does not ask for attention. It simply continues. By allowing motion to repeat, adjust, and settle, duration becomes the quiet foundation upon which all cosmic structure rests, supporting complexity without demanding speed or resolution. As time continues, patterns grow familiar without becoming static. Motion repeats calmly, not because it is trapped, but because balance allows it to persist. Systems remain stable as change unfolds slowly enough to be absorbed. Nothing is required to conclude or resolve. Adjustment replaces reaction, and continuity becomes the natural state. Through this steady process, structure survives not by resisting motion, but by allowing it to flow without disruption. Across immense durations, the universe favors continuation over completion. Processes do not move toward a final point. They remain open, shaped only by conditions as they arise. This openness prevents strain and collapse, allowing motion to proceed without pressure. Time does not accelerate events or demand outcomes. It provides room for existence itself, ensuring that complexity endures through persistence rather than resolution. Over long timelines, meaning shifts away from individual moments and settles into patterns. Singular events lose importance as repeated motion gains influence. What lasts shapes what follows. The universe retains history, not through memory, but through structure. Paths that continue leave subtle traces, guiding future motion quietly. Persistence becomes more powerful than intensity, shaping systems without drawing attention to itself. Time gradually softens boundaries. Beginnings blend into continuation, and change becomes difficult to isolate. Motion spreads across duration, reducing contrast and preventing sudden disruption. systems adapt gently, adjusting without interruption. This slow flow preserves coherence, allowing structure to remain intact even as conditions evolve. Stability is maintained not through stillness, but through ongoing, balanced motion. With enough time, motion naturally becomes calm. There is no urgency, no demand for conclusion. Balance is sustained through patience rather than control. As this section comes to rest, time remains open, allowing processes to continue without pressure. Everything persists within duration, steady and uninterrupted, prepared to move forward without the need for an ending. Beyond stars and galaxies lies distance itself, stretching space into vast, quiet intervals where motion slows and interaction becomes rare. Space is not empty, yet it feels calm because everything is spread thinly across enormous scales. Energy drifts, light weakens, and movement loses urgency. These distances soften events, preventing sudden change and allowing systems to exist without pressure, creating a universe where continuity is favored over intensity. Silence in space does not mean absence, but scale. Sound cannot travel, yet motion continues endlessly through radiation, gravity, and slow drift. Without constant interference, systems evolve independently, shaped by long-term influence rather than immediate reaction. This silence reduces conflict, allowing structures to persist and adjust gradually, preserving balance across regions so large that interaction becomes the exception rather than the rule. Distance also acts as protection, separating systems so that change arrives slowly. Disruption weakens as it travels, giving structures time to adapt before influence is felt. This delay prevents collapse and stabilizes motion. The universe relies on separation not to isolate, but to sustain complexity, ensuring that evolution unfolds gently enough to be absorbed without overwhelming the order already in place. In these wide separations, time feels expanded rather than slowed. Without frequent interaction, processes unfold with patience, allowing motion to become subtle and steady. Change does not announce itself, it accumulates quietly. Distance turns activity into continuity, reducing friction and preventing extremes. What remains is a calm persistence, where systems endure not by constant movement, but by having enough space for motion to settle and repeat without disruption. Light crosses these distances carrying information, but it arrives softened by travel. Sharp details blur, intensity fades, and what remains is an echo shaped by time itself. Observation becomes delayed understanding. We never see events as they are, only as they were. This delay transforms motion into history, reminding us that distance does not erase events, but gently reshapes how they are received and remembered. Through silence and separation, the universe maintains coherence. Space between systems is not emptiness, but spacing that allows balance to form. With room to exist, motion remains sustainable and conflict becomes rare. Nothing presses too closely. Nothing demands immediate response. In this quiet arrangement, continuity emerges naturally, guided as much by distance as by gravity, allowing the universe to remain stable across immense spans of time. Distance also changes how motion is perceived. When objects are far apart, movement appears slower and calmer, even when it is continuous. This softened perception reduces tension, allowing systems to coexist without constant adjustment. Space stretches influence across time, ensuring that no single event dominates its surroundings. Through separation, motion becomes less intrusive, giving the universe a rhythm that favors stability and quiet endurance over rapid reaction. Silence allows patterns to persist without interruption. In regions where interaction is rare, structures evolve according to their own internal balance. External forces arrive slowly, often weakened by distance. This isolation is not loneliness, but independence. Systems maintain coherence by responding gradually rather than immediately, preserving form while still remaining open to long-term influence that arrives gently instead of abruptly. Across these quiet intervals, continuity becomes more important than change. What matters is not how quickly something happens, but how long it can continue without breaking balance. Distance supports this persistence by spreading influence thinly, preventing sudden disruption. In this way, the space between systems becomes as important as the systems themselves, shaping a universe that remains calm, connected, and quietly sustained. Distance also reshapes cause and effect. When influence must travel across immense space, outcomes are delayed and softened. Reactions do not arrive immediately. They spread slowly, losing intensity as they move. This delay prevents chain reactions from escalating, allowing systems to absorb change gradually. The universe favors this spacing because it transforms force into influence, ensuring that motion continues without overwhelming what already exists. In the quiet between systems, time gains clarity. Without constant disturbance, long-term patterns become visible. Motion repeats, paths stabilize, and structure emerges through consistency rather than speed. These regions act like buffers, filtering extremes and allowing only gentle influence to pass through. In doing so, distance supports endurance, helping the universe maintain coherence even as conditions shift slowly over vast durations. Silence also invites continuity. Without noise or collision, processes can complete themselves. Energy settles, distributions even out, and motion finds sustainable paths. Nothing needs to compete for attention. This absence of urgency allows systems to remain intact while still evolving. Change becomes a background process, unfolding quietly and predictably, guided by time and spacing rather than sudden intervention. Across enormous separations, observation becomes indirect. What is seen arrives late, altered by travel. Light carries history rather than immediacy. This distance turns events into sequences, linking them gently rather than sharply. Understanding becomes layered, built from echoes instead of instant impressions. The universe reveals itself slowly, allowing awareness to grow without shock, shaped by patience rather than immediacy. When distance is great, interaction becomes selective. Only the most persistent influences endure the journey. Fleeting disturbances fade away. This selectivity stabilizes structure by allowing only sustained patterns to shape outcomes. Over time, this filtering effect favors balance and continuity, ensuring that the universe evolves through lasting influence rather than momentary disruption. Seen together, silence and distance form a quiet framework. They slow motion without stopping it, soften change without preventing it, and allow complexity to persist without strain. The space between systems is not empty or inactive. It is an active participant, shaping how motion unfolds and ensuring that the universe remains calm, connected, and capable of continuing far beyond any single event. As distance increases, the universe gains resilience. Events lose the power to dominate their surroundings, spreading influence gradually instead of suddenly. This diffusion protects structure by giving systems time to respond rather than react. Motion remains present but softened, allowing adjustment instead of disruption. Through vast separation, the universe avoids overload, ensuring that complexity can persist without being overwhelmed by concentrated force or immediate consequence. In these extended spaces, continuity becomes the primary measure of stability. What endures matters more than what begins abruptly. Motion that can repeat without strain defines structure, while sudden change fades into background influence. Distance allows this endurance by filtering extremes and favoring gradual development. Over long durations, persistence replaces intensity, shaping a universe that values sustained balance over rapid transformation. Silence and distance together create a slow rhythm that governs cosmic motion. They reduce urgency, soften impact, and allow processes to unfold fully. Nothing is rushed toward resolution. Systems remain open, adjusting gently as influence arrives. In this quiet framework, motion continues without pressure, guided by time and space working together to preserve coherence across immense scales. Over vast distances, influence becomes subtle rather than forceful. Gravity pulls gently, light fades gradually, and motion stretches into long, calm arcs. Nothing arrives suddenly. This softness allows systems to remain stable, even as they are affected by distant events. Change becomes something that is absorbed rather than resisted, giving structure the ability to endure without stress, interruption, or abrupt transformation. When space is wide, time gains depth. Processes are no longer defined by moments, but by continuation. Motion does not rush to complete itself. It simply carries on, shaped by long-term conditions instead of immediate outcomes. This depth allows systems to adjust internally before external influence fully arrives, preserving balance and preventing sudden shifts that could disrupt existing order. Across these quiet expanses, the universe learns patience. Events unfold slowly enough to be integrated rather than reacted to. Distance weakens extremes, turning potential disruption into gentle influence. Through this gradual exchange, motion remains sustainable. Systems are not isolated, but protected, connected through time rather than proximity, maintaining coherence without requiring closeness or constant interaction. Distance reshapes connection without removing it entirely. Systems remain linked even when far apart, not through sudden interaction, but through slow influence. Gravity acts gently, light travels patiently, and motion responds over extended time. This delayed connection avoids tension and prevents intrusion. Independence is preserved while coherence remains intact. By allowing influence to arrive gradually, the universe ensures that interaction can be absorbed calmly rather than resisted. In these conditions, stability emerges naturally. Systems are not forced into alignment, nor are they left unsupported. Instead, they coexist within a shared framework of spacing and time. Motion remains predictable without becoming rigid. Change unfolds without disruption. Distance ensures that balance is maintained not through control, but through allowance, giving structures the freedom to persist while remaining responsive to gradual influence. Silence also reduces conflict. Without constant interaction, extremes lose the ability to amplify one another. Energy spreads, motion softens, and sharp transitions dissolve into continuity. This quiet moderation allows complexity to survive across immense durations. The universe relies on calm separation, not to limit motion, but to sustain it, ensuring that systems endure by remaining adaptable rather than reactive. As distance widens, influence becomes more selective. Only steady, persistent effects travel far enough to matter. Sudden disturbances fade before arriving. This filtering stabilizes structure, allowing systems to evolve through lasting conditions rather than brief events. Over time, what endures shapes outcomes, while what is temporary dissolves into background motion, preserving balance without constant correction. Within this spacing, motion gains sustainability. Paths repeat without strain, energy redistributes without excess, and systems remain open to gradual adjustment. Nothing is required to react immediately. This freedom from urgency allows structures to persist while still adapting. Distance provides the room necessary for motion to continue calmly, maintaining coherence even as conditions slowly change. Seen together, silence and distance form a quiet architecture. They do not stop motion, they guide it. By slowing interaction and softening influence, they prevent overload and preserve continuity. Systems remain connected without pressure, shaped by time rather than proximity. In this arrangement, the universe sustains complexity gently, allowing existence to continue without haste or demand. As separation increases, motion becomes less reactive and more deliberate. Systems are influenced over long durations rather than moments, allowing adjustment instead of shock. This delayed response prevents instability, giving structures time to absorb change. Distance stretches influence across time, transforming potential disruption into gradual guidance. Through this spacing, motion remains calm, sustained, and capable of continuing without forcing sudden adaptation. In wide regions of space, continuity outweighs intensity. What matters is not how strongly something acts, but how long it persists. Repeated motion builds reliability, while brief disturbances fade away. Distance favors this endurance by weakening extremes and amplifying steady patterns. Over time, systems shaped by persistence remain stable, supported by motion that can do without exhausting itself. Silence allows these patterns to remain undisturbed. Without constant interaction, motion settles into sustainable paths. Energy spreads evenly, structure holds, and change unfolds without conflict. This quiet environment does not halt evolution. It protects it. By reducing interference, silence and distance together create the conditions for long-term balance, allowing the universe to continue calmly across immense spans of space and time. Over long distances, motion becomes defined by consistency rather than speed. Change arrives slowly enough to be absorbed instead of resisted. Systems are not forced to react immediately, allowing balance to be maintained through gradual adjustment. Paths stabilize because influence spreads across time, not moments. This steady continuation allows structure to endure while remaining flexible, preserving coherence without requiring stillness or urgency. Distance gives every event time to soften before it is felt elsewhere. Influence weakens as it travels, losing the ability to disrupt suddenly. By the time motion arrives, it has transformed into guidance rather than pressure. This delay protects structure, ensuring that systems respond calmly instead of collapsing under immediate change. Through spacing alone, the universe regulates interaction and preserves long-term stability. Within this extended quiet, harmony emerges without effort. Separation prevents crowding, silence reduces friction, and time allows adjustment to complete itself. Motion continues without strain, shaped by conditions rather than demand. Nothing is rushed into response. Through distance and calm persistence, complexity survives, supported by a framework that favors patience, balance, and continuity over rapid transformation. As space widens, interaction becomes gentler rather than weaker. Systems influence one another through slow, extended processes instead of immediate contact. Motion stretches across time, allowing responses to form gradually without strain. This softness prevents shock and protects structure. Change integrates calmly rather than disrupting balance. Through distance alone, the universe encourages adaptation over reaction, allowing stability to remain while evolution continues quietly. In these calm separations, persistence replaces intensity as the defining force. What lasts shapes outcomes more than what acts briefly. Repeated motion builds reliability, while sudden disturbances fade before leaving lasting marks. Distance supports this endurance by filtering influence, allowing only steady effects to matter. Over time, systems shaped by continuity remain coherent, sustained by motion that can repeat without exhausting itself. Silence deepens this effect by reducing interference. Without constant interaction, motion settles into sustainable patterns. Energy spreads evenly, adjustments complete themselves, and structure remains intact. This quiet does not halt change. It allows it to proceed without pressure. Through silence and distance working together, the universe maintains balance, ensuring that complexity persists gently across immense spans of space and time. Silence and distance allow endurance. By slowing interaction and softening influence, They prevent collapse and reduce strain. Nothing is required to respond immediately. Systems are given time to adjust and settle. Through spacing alone, balance is maintained. Motion continues without pressure, and connection exists without intrusion. In this quiet structure, complexity survives through patience, continuity, and steady persistence across vast spans of space and time. As everything slows, the universe does not stop. It simply continues without drawing attention to itself. Motion becomes background rather than focus, allowing awareness to soften. Nothing demands understanding. Nothing requires effort. Existence unfolds on its own terms, steady and uninterrupted, guided by processes that do not seek an end, only continuation. At this scale, questions lose urgency. Meaning no longer depends on answers, but on presence. The universe does not explain itself. It remains. Time passes without direction, motion without intention. This absence of demand allows rest, creating a space where observation can fade and awareness can settle naturally. Patterns persist even when they are no longer noticed. Orbits repeat, distances remain, motion continues quietly. Nothing needs to be remembered for structure to hold. Continuity does not depend on attention. The universe carries itself forward, balanced and self-sustaining, regardless of whether it is observed. In this quiet continuation, scale becomes irrelevant. Large and small dissolve into the same slow rhythm. Events blend into duration. Change becomes gentle enough to feel like stillness. What remains is not emptiness, but calm persistence, allowing everything to exist without pressure or conclusion. As awareness loosens, the universe no longer needs to be followed or understood. Motion continues whether it is noticed or not. Stars remain where they are, distances stay wide, and time moves without direction. Nothing asks for attention. Nothing signals importance. This absence of demand allows thought to slow, creating space where presence can remain without effort or interpretation. In this state, continuity replaces curiosity. There is no need to trace causes or imagine outcomes. Processes unfold on their own, guided by conditions rather than intention. The universe does not pause or hurry. It simply remains in motion, steady and unbroken. This ongoing presence does not require explanation. It exists quietly, allowing the mind to rest within its persistence. When attention fades, scale loses meaning. Large structures and small movements blend into the same rhythm. Distances feel less defined. Time feels less measured. What remains is a steady flow where change happens gently enough to feel like stillness. The universe does not disappear. It becomes background, supporting existence without drawing focus or creating urgency. Within this quiet continuation, there is no conclusion to reach. Nothing needs to resolve or complete itself. Motion carries on without expectation. Balance holds without control. The universe sustains itself through patience alone, allowing everything to exist without pressure. In this calm persistence, awareness can soften completely, supported by a rhythm that does not ask to be followed. As everything settles, motion becomes something that no longer needs attention. The universe continues without signaling change or demanding awareness. Time passes, not as a sequence of moments, but as a steady field where nothing interrupts the flow. There is no beginning to follow and no ending to anticipate. This continuity allows presence to remain effortless, supported by processes that persist quietly, without urgency, direction, or expectation. In this extended calm, understanding becomes unnecessary. The universe does not require interpretation to exist. Stars remain distant, space remains wide, and motion continues whether it is observed or ignored. Meaning dissolves into continuity, and questions lose their weight. What remains is a gentle persistence, where existence unfolds without explanation, allowing thought to soften and awareness to rest without effort. With attention released, structure remains intact. Nothing collapses when it is no longer examined. Orbits repeat, distances hold, and time carries everything forward evenly. This stability does not depend on focus or control. It exists on its own, supported by balance that has no need to announce itself. The universe sustains continuity quietly, allowing everything to continue without interruption or demand. In this final stretch, motion blends into stillness without ever stopping. Change becomes so gradual that it feels absent, even as it continues. There is no pressure to remain aware, no need to stay awake or alert. Everything is allowed to exist as it is, carried forward by time alone. The universe remains open, calm, and uninterrupted, holding space for rest without requiring anything in return. As time stretches on, the universe holds its rhythm without interruption. Nothing accelerates, nothing slows with intention. Motion persists as a background presence, steady and unremarkable. Awareness is no longer needed to maintain balance. Processes unfold as they always have, supported by continuity rather than attention. In this sustained calm, everything remains exactly where it needs to be, guided quietly by duration instead of direction. Without focus, the sense of progression softens. Moments no longer separate themselves clearly. They blend into one another, forming an unbroken flow. The universe does not mark transitions. It allows them to dissolve. This blending reduces tension, creating a space where thought can release effort. Existence continues smoothly, uninterrupted by milestones or conclusions, resting within a rhythm that does not require awareness. Here, persistence becomes comfort. Repetition carries no boredom, only stability. Motion repeats because it is sustainable, not because it is confined. The universe favors what can continue without strain. Nothing competes for significance. Everything shares the same quiet importance. In this balance, attention can drift freely, supported by patterns that hold without being observed or maintained. As continuity settles in, nothing needs to change for balance to remain. Motion continues quietly, not to reach somewhere else, but because it has always been there. Time does not move forward with intention. It simply holds everything in place while allowing gentle variation. In this steady presence, effort dissolves and existence continues without needing awareness, purpose, or direction. With no urgency remaining, the universe feels spacious and unburdened. Events no longer stand apart from one another. They merge into duration, losing sharp edges and clear boundaries. This blending allows calm to deepen. Nothing interrupts the flow. Nothing requires response. The universe maintains itself through persistence alone, offering a rhythm that supports rest without calling attention to itself. In this extended calm, motion becomes reassuring. Repetition signals stability rather than confinement. Patterns endure because they are sustainable, not because they are fixed. The universe favors what can continue gently. This preference allows complexity to remain without strain, supported by processes that repeat effortlessly, carrying everything forward without acceleration or pause. As awareness fades further, presence remains. There is no need to follow time or mark progression. Everything exists within the same quiet flow, uninterrupted and complete. The universe does not conclude or resolve. It simply continues, steady and open, providing space where rest can deepen naturally, supported by emotion that never demands attention or effort. As the universe carries on, there is no signal marking progress. Motion does not announce itself, and time does not insist on being followed. Everything remains present within the same calm duration. This absence of markers allows tension to dissolve. Awareness can drift without losing place. Continuity holds gently, supporting existence without requiring focus, direction, or interpretation. Within this sustained calm, nothing needs to be achieved. Processes unfold because conditions allow them to, not because they are moving toward completion. Motion persists quietly, balanced, and self-sustaining. The universe does not pause or accelerate. It remains open, allowing everything to exist without pressure, guided by rhythms that continue without asking for attention. Here, repetition becomes soothing rather than noticeable. Patterns repeat because they are stable, not because they are constrained. This stability allows rest to deepen. Change continues, but so slowly that it blends into stillness. The universe maintains coherence through gentle persistence, offering a background presence that supports calm without interruption or demand. As duration extends, the distinction between movement and rest fades. Motion feels settled, and stillness feels alive. There is no boundary to cross, no moment to anticipate. Everything remains within the same quiet flow, sustained by time itself. In this space, awareness can soften completely, held by a continuity that remains steady, patient, and uninterrupted. As the universe carries on, there is no signal marking progress or change. Motion does not announce itself, and time does not insist on being followed. Everything remains present within the same calm duration, unfolding without urgency. This absence of markers allows tension to dissolve completely. Awareness can drift without losing place or direction. Continuity holds gently, supporting existence through steady persistence, rather than movement toward any goal or outcome. Within this sustained calm, nothing needs to be achieved or completed. Processes unfold simply because conditions allow them to, not because they are moving toward resolution. Motion persists quietly, balanced, and self-sustaining. The universe does not pause, accelerate, or conclude. It remains open, allowing everything to exist without pressure, guided by rhythms that continue patiently without requiring attention or response. Here, repetition becomes soothing rather than noticeable. Patterns repeat because they are stable and enduring, not because they are confined. This stability allows rest to deepen naturally. Change continues, but so gradually that it blends into stillness. The universe maintains coherence through gentle persistence, offering a calm background presence that supports balance without interruption, effort, or demand for awareness. As duration extends further, the distinction between movement and rest slowly fades. Motion feels settled, and stillness feels alive with quiet continuity. There is no boundary to cross and no moment to anticipate. Everything remains within the same gentle flow, sustained by time itself. In this space, awareness can soften completely, supported by a persistence that remains steady, patient, and uninterrupted. As time continues without being measured, motion no longer needs attention. The universe does not signal progress or change. Everything remains within the same calm duration, unfolding without urgency. Nothing moves toward an ending, and nothing is left behind. In this steady presence, awareness can rest naturally, supported by a continuity that exists without effort, intention, or expectation. Here, balance holds without being maintained. Motion carries itself forward quietly, guided by patience rather than direction. The universe does not resolve or conclude. It simply remains open, allowing everything to exist as it is. Change becomes gentle enough to feel absent, even as it continues. This calm persistence creates space where rest can deepen without interruption. There is nothing left to follow and nothing to understand. Motion continues softly, steady, and uninterrupted, without asking for attention. Time flows without pressure, without direction, and without demand. Awareness can fade gently, resting where it is. Everything remains held within the same quiet rhythm, balanced and complete. The universe carries on calmly, offering a final sense of stillness where rest feels natural, unforced, and allowed to deepen on its own.